Hi guys, welcome to vlog 35 from my tiny tropical garden, and it's a chance for us to catch up on this last week in what has been an amazing August. The last couple of weeks have been the perfect mix of warm sunny weather and rainy showers. It has really brought the garden on, and everything has put on lush and healthy growth, and it's just nice seeing the plants grow from rainwater because it always does them better than hosepipe water. And one of the best things about my tropical garden in August is enjoying seeing how much wildlife is coming to enjoy it, and it just gets better each year. Remember, this is only the second summer this tropical garden has been in existence. I'm going to give the stream wildlife a bit of a helping hand because we're surrounded by concrete, roads, solid fences and patioed gardens. So I'm introducing this little newt and a few ram's horn snails which I collected from the pond at Abbotsbury Subtropical Gardens. Talking of which, I've got some great news. I've been taken on as a full-time gardener at Abbotsbury Subtropical Gardens. It's like a dream job. I'm just working around rare, tropical and exotic plants all day. So if you're ever there, feel free to pop in and say hi. It's a really inspiring garden, and it just keeps giving me more ideas for my own little tropical paradise, which I'm really pleased is finally starting to form some layers, with shade-loving plants like begonias and ferns underplanting my shrubs, and in turn the shrubs are underplanting the future canopy from my trees, like from this Typhinia. Already the canopy is helping me grow slightly more tender plants, like this Solanum Lacinato, which is just coming into flower. Its common name is the Kangaroo Apple, and it forms tiny little bright yellow fruits, which are poisonous. Do not eat them. And the purple of these flowers is picked up by these gorgeous purple streaks on my Canna Cleopatra. Even though it's not flowering, just the leaves are ornamental enough. And each leaf has a different pattern, sometimes on the top side and sometimes on the lower side. And talking of gorgeous leaves, how about this tropical garden staple? It's an Ensete murellii, or red banana. It really is a stunning plant. It's no wonder most of us growing tropical and exotic gardens always grow this plant. The leaves are just extremely tropical, and if you keep the roots wet enough, it puts on so much growth. And to feed it, I use chicken manure pellets in the planting hole when I put it in the ground. The raised bed, planted to the left of the tiny tropical garden, is coming into full bloom in this late, hot August weather. And to make sure the plants flower for as late into the season as possible, it's important I stay on top of deadheading. Like on this dahlia Bishop of Llandaff, you can see the old flowers and then the new buds waiting to emerge. I don't want it to put its energy into forming seeds, so I'm just going to cut off the old flower heads and encourage these new buds to mature and bloom. Tucked away at the far back of the raised bed is my Garrya elliptica, James Roof. It's forming tiny new flower buds, and these will gradually get longer and longer until in the winter when the tassels emerge. It's a great plant for winter interest, but doesn't look much in summer, which is great for where I've put it, because in the summer it completely disappears behind all of the tropical and exotic plants. Like this Amaranthus caudatus, Love Lies Bleeding. I know a lot of you already grow this, and if you don't, I highly recommend it. It grows really easily from seed and looks fantastic in a tropical or exotic border. And I'm pleased to say my Fatsia polycarpa, green fingers, is finally growing away well. I know a lot of you have had problems with your Fatsia polycarpas, suspected viral issues, but with plenty of water, light and good air circulation, this plant seems to be recovering, and the leaves have darkened up nicely. And this will help form the evergreen backdrop to that raised bed border, along with this Gracilina littoralis, which I showed how to take cuttings from in another video. You can see 2 gingers in this bed and they haven't flowered, but for late August you can rely on the cannas. They are all starting to come into bloom and they're dotted around the garden, and you can't beat them for getting strong colours at eye level. The only ginger that's flowered so far in the tiny tropical garden is this, the Hedychium greenii, and you just get one flower after the other, though they are quite short-lived. When you catch the blooms at the right time, they have a lovely fragrance. But it's the colour of the leaves, as I've said before, I love about this plant. The underside is this lovely metallic coppery colour, and the colour carries down into the stems. It just looks great. And do you remember that tiny Farfugium that I planted at the start of summer? Well, here it is. It's filling out well and there are plenty of new leaves on their way. You can see the slugs have enjoyed it a bit. And I'm pleased to say that this Eurphorbia pasturei John Phillips is recovering from that hard chop I gave it because it had flopped over the path. Once this lower growth starts to establish, I will cut off the remaining tall stems and let it form a new smaller dome. But being a hybrid, it's got plenty of vigour, so it will grow big quickly. The crackerjack marigolds that we grow for the pollinators are in bloom, but not performing as well as last year. Whereas the Verbena bonariensis has been great for pulling in the wildlife, so I think I'll grow more of this next year. But overall, I think I'm happy with the exotic blooms in this tiny tropical garden. There are a few bits that I'd like to move next year, and I think the Nicotiana stands out too much. But that's what gardening is. You experiment. And my current experiment is planting this Colocasia Esculenta Blue Hawaii. Just look at the colour of the veins on those leaves, and it carries through onto the underside and down the stems. These colours get much stronger when the plant's exposed to full sun, so it's currently sat in its pot at the top of the stream. And if you want more information on this plant, check out the link to its profile on tinytropicalgarden.co.uk. Every time I sit by the stream, I wonder how that little newt's getting on. Hopefully one day I'll find them en masse because they just love the tropical slice of paradise so much. This Tetrapanax was grown from a plug plant last year. They really do grow quickly, and hopefully it's got enough space in this corner. One plant that didn't quite have enough space was this Colocasia Esculenta, which I planted at the front corner of the raised bed, and I keep having to cut leaves off because the enormous leaves are just covering up everything else. Lesson learnt. Stunning new plant alert. This is Tibucina erviliana, and just look at the colour of that flower. This is a tender plant that will grow to be a shrub, so I'm going to keep it in a pot to make it easier to protect it over winter. And if you want more information on this plant, then check out the link that goes to its plant profile on the Tiny Tropical Garden website. That sickly looking Pseudopanax laetus that we planted has picked up and put out a lot of new leaves. I really can't recommend chicken manure pellets enough for nitrogen deficient plants. And I'm happy to see that the Salvia amistad that got squashed by the storm is blooming up to put on a second flush of flowers. And a third type of Colocasia we've got in the garden is this Colocasia Thai giant that has been grown from seed this year. Just look how big the leaves are in the first year, and if I can get it through winter, it will be enormous. So, for a tropical garden that has only seen 2 summers, I'm pretty pleased with how it's looking. But I'm sure that I'm going to learn about new plants, see some different plant combinations, and get more ideas, and then I'll be wanting to change things next year. But hey, it's more for me to share with you guys. Now if you like this video, hit subscribe, and if you've got any tips or questions, pop them below. And check out the Tiny Tropical Garden website for ideas and inspiration for your tropical or exotic space. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.